unbelievablebeats.com production.
Hi, this is Shaun Friedman with unbelievablebeats.com. Just want to go over how to master your projects, make the volume louder. A lot of people want to make their song as loud as a commercial CD, and there's some free ways to do that. First, the way I want to talk about is the Tls Maximizer, and you pretty much put it on the FL Studio mixer where your other plugins or effects are, which is in this list. And real quick, here's your master track right here, and this knob should always be at 100%, and up here, this master volume, this should also always be at 100%. You can just right click and hit reset if you wanted to, and that gets it back to 100%, because this up here, you never want to have that in the red, because that means it will be clipping. You never want your signal clipping. And actually, you could actually lower this a little bit to make more room for when you actually do master. And another note on mastering is sometimes you'll actually export your whole project as a WAV file, 16-bit or 24-bit. Just export your whole beat or your whole project, and then it'll be rendered down into that one audio file. Then load it back up in whatever music program you're using or FL Studio, and then work on what we're about to work on now. But for this example, I'm just going to actually just use it in here. But another advantage of exporting it first would be all the plugins aren't running, your memory isn't taxed on your computer anymore, and it's just one file that you can master. But right now, this was the actual sequencing and arrangement, and all my plugins are still running, but I'm just going to do it in here first. Okay, the Tls Maximizer you can get for free online, just search for it, and it's also at wavosaur.com, and you can get free VST limiters there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to load up the limiter, Tls Maximizer, and close this. So you can just get this in the middle here. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this to the right. It's going to get louder. And then when it gets a little louder, this starts to show the attenuation. It starts to show right there, that little red going to the left when I pull this to the right. And that's, keep pulling until you see about -3, maybe a little more, but then you'll start to get distortion, and you don't really want that. Once again, you never want this up here clipping, and you can also see it right here. You never want that more than 0. And right now it's completely limiting it at 0. Watch what happens when I'm going to turn it off. See, that was without the maximizer. Now I'm going to turn it on, and you see how it got louder. And you can also see I just turned it off again right here, which is pretty much the same as this. This is just called Wave Candy, and you can load this up also. It's called Wave Candy. It's just a bigger display. But I turned it on, and there it goes. And now this also has other options. If you click on EQ here, there's a body. You can raise up the body. It gives it a little more body. I think it sounds like it's about, it sounds like the mid frequency a little bit. And then there's a bass. I'm going to raise it a little mid, and now the high. You see how that just got a little clearer. Now that's with nothing after those changes. And now I'm going to turn it back on, so you can see that. And that high is probably a little too high, so you just give it a little bit. And there's also a dull to sharp area. You can slide this thing too. And there's also an algorithm. You can change this algorithm. Not sure if there's any presets. No, there's no presets because all you really do is just drag this over. Okay, and that's the TLS Maximizer. And when you do download it, in order to get it in FL Studio real quick, all you have to do is, let's see here, if I wanted to download it from here. Once you download it and you save it, it's going to be a DLL extension. And then you have to put it in your FL Studio folder, which is Program Files, Image Line, FL Studio, and then go into Plugins and VST. So here's all the plugins, and these are even the ones that come standard with FL Studio. And here's the one I just was using. TLS, oh that says Pocket Limiter. Oh, here it is right here, TLS Maximizer. So I would just drag it in here, and then once it's in there, in FL Studio, click on one of these knobs, and go to Replace, and go to More. This is when you're first installing it. And at the bottom here, where it says Refresh, click Refresh, go to Fast Scan, and it's going to show up in red any new plugins you have. And in your case, if you get the TLS Maximizer, which is right here, it would show up in red, and you just click the little square next to it, and it'll show up in F. You want the F to be showing up, and then it'll be in your new list. Okay, the second way, I'm going to get rid of the Maximizer. Here's another free way to do things. You go to the Fruity Parametric EQ. Now I know this is usually used for EQ, but this first area right here, it's really just a volume knob. Watch. I'm moving it up. See, it's just a straight line, and then in here shows the dB, as well as right here shows dB, but I just raised it up 4.5 dB. And I think that was actually clipping for a second, it looked like it. But usually you can just go about +3 dB for this, and stop right there. And then with this one, I usually mix. This one goes +3 dB on the Parametric EQ2, and then go to the Fruity Compressor next in the chain. You know, this is before EQ, then compressor, and go to the fastest attack and the fastest release, 0 attack and 1 release. The ratio, I'm going to put 3:1, and this pretty much makes it like a brick wall limiter. I pretty much just turned this compressor into a limiter to raise the volume. So you're gonna lower the threshold to the left, and maybe about -4. And since you lowered it -4, go back to the gain over here, and you're gonna raise that up while it's playing, probably to around -4 or a little bit below -4. You know, and this could also be like -6, maybe 7 or 8, and then you raise up the gain again until you hear it start kick in, but you do not want any distortion. And then this last part here is the type, and we can mess with that in a second. It's either hard, medium, vintage, soft, and some other stuff like that. But I'm going to put this back on 0 threshold, 0 gain. Ratio 3, fastest attack and fastest release turns this into a brick wall limiter. So I'm lowering the threshold. I'll do about -4.5. Now I'm going to raise up the gain. And that was I heard it rev up a little bit, so I stopped it at 3.8. So I'm going to turn off the compressor. Let's see the difference. It's off. About to turn it on now. So that gave it a little more volume. And if I turn off both of them, no EQ, no compressor, you can hear that. Now I'm going to turn them both back on. And let's see if I lower this even more on the compressor. -6, got to raise this up a little bit. See, about 5.9, because this was -6.1. But that would still probably be okay. But if you raise up the gain more, you're going to get distortion. Yeah. You don't want that. That's too much. So either just do a little bit, you know, -4.7 here, -3.5. That would probably work out right there too. Okay. There is another free plugin called Soundgoodizer you can search for online, and I mean, it's decent. I think if you know how to use it properly, you can use it on vocals and other instrument tracks and other mixer tracks, or on your master track like we're doing here. But you can find that online. It's called Soundgoodizer. Just makes things sound good. And this is it, and it comes when you load it. This thing can be adjusted, because right now I'm going to turn it off. Alright, I'm turning it on now. Okay, that just sounded crazy. I mean, so you can lower this though. So maybe the Soundgoodizer is good right about here. I'm going to turn it off. Back on now. So it kind of opened things up a little bit, and then there's A, B, C, and D. Let's see. B, C, and D. So it depends, you know. This could be useful for other types of things, like maybe to compress your sub bass on a mixer track, maybe to open up your vocals a little bit. But just mess around with the Soundgoodizer, because you got A, B, C, and D, and then this thing just ramps up or down. So that's pretty cool, actually. Now, getting into things that I actually had purchased in one of my audio engineering classes, just to familiarize yourself with some other plugins. You can go to waves.com, waves.com. And they're known to have some of the best compressors, effects, delays, reverbs, even though you can get all these things online. I'm going to go to my R compressor, and this is Waves. Now, just for this example again, I'm going to, it's you know, they're usually somewhat of the same settings, just a different format for different VSTs, just a different interface. But let's see, here's the ratio. I'm putting the ratio to 3 again. Now, even back on the other compressor, you can for brick wall limiting, if you're turning a compressor into a limiter, or if you're just using a limiter, a ratio of 8 and higher, I think, was considered brick wall limiting, but I usually just stay on 3 just to give it a little bit and don't want any distortion. Okay, attack. This is the attack on this Waves compressor. Here's the release. I'm just putting the attack all the way to the left, release all the way to the left. On this particular interface, it let me get 0.5 attack and 5 of a release. So all the way left, all the way left. Ratio is 3 again. So I just turned this into a brick wall limiter. But this one's a little more handy because it actually shows the attenuation, which is going to be this number here. So I'm going to lower the threshold. It'll be a negative number. And you're going to see some activity here. And it's going to show the attenuation. And that means however much it's getting attenuated, I'm going to raise up this gain right here. And it's going to show me when it's kicking in with a little yellow light in here. And if this turns red, it knows it's too much, and you just want it lighting up yellow a little bit. So here we go. Okay, let me threshold. Okay, threshold. All right, see, it's on 0 and it's already showing some attenuation. You just click on the attenuation number to reset it. It's showing negative 1.2. I know you might not be able to see that, but you could probably see this yellow part. Now I'm gonna bring down the threshold, sliding it down slowly. Okay, now the attenuation showing 3.4. And watch, when I slide it down more, see, now it's showing negative 8. And you can see this, that's the attenuation. So, alright, I'm resetting it. Now I'm going to do it again, because I just want a little bit of attenuation. Okay. Okay, negative 3 okay, a little more. Okay, negative 3.4 attenuation. Now I'm going to bring up the gain and listen. You just got to listen. Alright, I left it at 3.8, but this wasn't even turning yellow yet. Let's see. There it goes. See? It was lighting up. You know, it was lighting up a little bit here and there. So, you know, it's kicking in right there. And that sounds pretty good. I'm going to turn it off right here. That's without it. And back on now. So, you know, if you bring this up too much, it's going to get distorted. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. See? It started getting yellow and red. So you probably want this either completely blank with just a little bit hitting in yellow. Let's see. You gotta be very delicate with this. So you can use your ears too. Alright, just hitting yellow. And it's hitting in yellow and blank, so that's cool. I probably could have lowered this threshold a little bit more, but there really are no rules to this. You just have to use your ears mostly. So that's the waves compressor, and they also have presets. But now their presets are going to change. They're going to change the ratio. They're going to change the threshold. They're going to change the gain, the attack, and release. And also, well, the one I already did, there's electro or opto, warm, or smooth, and you can change those a little bit. But let's see if I go to load vocal. Okay, that just changed all the settings. Let's see. Load voiceover. Oh, I see. You still have to adjust the threshold and gain. I'm gonna put them both at 0. But these settings, they set the ARC, the electro or opto, the warm or smooth, and they also set the ratio, attack, and release. So in the past, you've seen I turned compressors into brick wall limiters, but there are, let's see, vocal. I'm going to try the vocal with their settings now, and I'm going to do my threshold and gain. Okay, lower the threshold. Lowering it slowly down. Okay, attenuation negative 4.9 is showing me. So I got to raise up the gain about 4.9, or just until my ears tell me it's kicking in a little bit. Okay, I was able to go a little higher. I'm a 7.3. I'm gonna stop at 7.3. All right, that sounds pretty good. Turning it off. Turn it on. So this has a gang of presets, and that's cool. You don't just have to do it on the master track. Compressors could be used on individual instruments, kick drums to help kick drums get more punchy, to help vocals slide in tune with the beat, for pianos, for violins, for anything. But as you've seen, I'm pretty comfortable just using compressors as a brick wall limiter. But I'm still learning how to use them for other purposes. Okay, one more thing here, which can be used by itself or in conjunction with any of the compressors. So I'll just do it right after this one. There's something I had in my father's studio, or my father had, called a BBE Sonic Maximizer. This thing was a rack mount unit, so I searched online, and they had a VST for it. So I actually bought it and learned a little bit about it. The website's, I think it's Nomad Factory, but let me show you this D82 Sonic Maximizer. This is pretty crazy. This was a rack mount unit, and now they have a software version. This is it. This is the bass, low contour, and this process is pretty much the highs. And you know, it says BBE process is in. That's their trademark, and the engineering, and it's what they have trademarked as far as opening up the speakers. Just gonna lower this compressor a little bit. Okay, watch, here comes some bass. If I just scroll up, they just added some bass, and that goes all the way up, but that was a little too much, so I probably just do, alright, 0.7, that's barely anything. Now, but watch the highs. See how much that just opened up? It just opened up everything. So I'll just give it a little bit, about 1.3. So, compressor's off, Sonic Maximizer is off. Now I'm going to turn them both on. And that kind of opened things up a little bit. But these two are, you have to, Waves is known for great sounding compressors and effects and reverbs. And this I actually bought also. This one I happened to get at Guitar Center, actually had it. And alright, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. And let me just make sure, I'll give you a couple more resources. This Wavosaur was where I had the free TLS, and they have all different types of stuff here. Freeloops.com, they have besides free effects, you can also get free MIDI instruments and free sounds. So it's also considered a plugin, but it's a plugin to actually use to create sounds, not effects. They have VST effects and they have VST sounds. So it's pretty cool, like pretty much a VST synthesizer, which you'll control with your MIDI controller. There's this thing here, navaudio.blogspot.com, and there's this here, roughhausen.com. These guys are into some high-level stuff here with instruments and VSTs and effects and everything music production. And you got vstplanet.com. You got the instruments, free stuff here too. And let me see something here. Okay, it is Nomad Factory. If you want to try out that BBE or just read up on this company, Nomad Factory. I mean, I came to know about them just through a stroke of luck because my dad had the actual rack mount unit, the hardware of that BBE thing. So I got the software for it. But here's their company. And then, of course, let's see if this is the right, yeah, waves.com is audio plugins for mixing, mastering, and recording. And they're pretty well known and one of the most reputable sources you're going to find. And I can just show you, I have the Waves certification bundle, just to show you what other things look like real quick. The certification package comes with another compressor called a C1, and that looks like this. And it also came with it has an EQ. They are most known for their EQ. It's called, I think, a Renaissance EQ plugin from Waves, and this is supposed to sound better than most EQs. I really should use this more, and I think I'm going to. And they also have in the Wave certification package, I was in school for this, Reverb, which is a reverb. They have one of the best sounding reverbs. Yeah, this one's cool, and they have a bunch of presets. And also the last thing they had there, Super Tap, which is a delay. You get 2-tap stereo or 6-tap stereo, then a gang of other settings. And here's the delay tap. All right, Shaun Friedman, Unbelievable Beats, signing off.
Unbelievablebeats.com production.